Han Wu stood in the center of the Great Hall on Nexus Prime. The massive dome stretched high above him, filled with floating platforms where alien representatives sat. 12 different species watched him with eyes that showed no respect. Some laughed quietly among themselves. Others looked bored. Han Wu had traveled 3 months to reach this place. He carried with him the final message from Earth, the message that would decide the fate of the galaxy. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Han Wu began, his voice clear and steady. I speak for all of humanity today. We have been patient. We have been peaceful. For 50 years, we have followed your rules and honored your treaties. Veltar of the hegemony shifted on his platform. His snake-like body coiled as he prepared to speak. Get to the point, human. We have important matters to discuss today. Han Wu nodded slowly. Very well. For 50 years, we have shown restraint. We have limited our fleets. We have kept our colonies small. We have hidden our true strength because we hoped for peace. Hidden strength? War Chief Grixtal of the Korthak Empire let out a harsh laugh. Your pathetic ships barely qualify as military vessels. Your colonies beg for protection from pirates. That was our choice, Han Wu said firmly. We chose to appear weak because we wanted peace. But you mistake our restraint for weakness. You attack our trade ships. You threaten our colonies. You demand we hand over our technology and resources. The hall filled with more laughter. Some aliens made rude gestures. Only Quinara of the Zeridian Republic remained silent. She had studied human history. She knew what humans were capable of when pushed too far. Han Wu raised his hand for silence. When the laughter died down, he continued. This is your final warning. Stop attacking our people. Stop demanding tribute from our colonies. Stop treating humanity like a weak species you can bully. Or what? Veltar hissed. You will send your tiny fleet to fight us? We have 1,000 ships for every one of yours. Han Wu's expression grew cold. Or you will face humanity without restraints. You will see what we are really capable of when we stop holding back. You will learn why we chose to limit ourselves. The hall erupted in louder laughter now. Even the usually dignified Cytherian ambassador chuckled behind his breathing mask. They had all seen human military reports. Earth had maybe 300 ships in their entire fleet. The Korthak Empire alone had 50,000. Is that a threat, little human? Grixtal stood up on his platform, his massive frame casting a shadow. Should we be afraid of your peaceful farmers and merchants? It is not a threat, Han Wu replied calmly. It is a promise. We have given you 50 years to learn how to coexist peacefully. You have chosen aggression instead. You have 72 hours to withdraw all military forces from human space and cease hostile actions against human vessels. And if we refuse? Veltar asked, still amused. Han Wu looked directly at each alien representative in turn. Then you will discover why humans spent so much effort restraining themselves. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Park Jin stood in the command center deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The facility stretched for miles in every direction, hidden from all alien sensors. Thousands of officers worked at stations monitoring every corner of human space. Admiral, called out Communications Officer Lee Yuna. Ambassador Han has delivered the message. They refused our terms as expected. Park Jin nodded grimly. He had hoped the aliens would see reason, but he had prepared for this outcome. Signal all fleet commanders. Execute Prometheus Protocol in 72 hours. The message went out instantly to every human ship in the galaxy. But these were not the ships the aliens knew about. Hidden in asteroid fields, behind moons, and in the deep space between stars, the real human fleet began to wake up. Dr. Kim Hai activated the quantum communication array that would coordinate humanity's response. The technology was decades ahead of anything the aliens possessed. In seconds, every human colony received their orders. "Are we really going to do this?" asked Commander Ju Min-ho, Park Jin's second-in-command. "Once we reveal our true capabilities, there's no going back." Park Jin stared at the tactical display showing alien fleet movements. Korthak ships were already moving toward New Busan colony. They made their choice. Now they live with the consequences. On New Busan, Colonial Governor Lee Min received the evacuation orders. The colony looked peaceful from space. A few agricultural domes, a small spaceport, some mining facilities. But beneath the surface, automatic systems began activating. "Governor," said Defense Coordinator Choi So-young, "the Korthak fleet will arrive in 6 hours. Should we begin the evacuation?" "Yes," Lee Min replied. "Get all civilians to the underground shelters. Make sure the surface looks abandoned when they arrive." Choi So-young had been waiting for this day for 10 years. Every human colony had been built with this possibility in mind. What looked like simple farming communities were actually carefully prepared military bases. In orbit around New Busan, Captain Yoon Tae sat in the command chair of what appeared to be a small patrol ship. The UES Incheon looked old and poorly armed. Its hull was scratched and dented to maintain the illusion. But hidden beneath layers of holographic camouflage was one of humanity's greatest achievements. "Captain," reported his tactical officer, "long-range sensors detect the Korthak fleet. 200 ships, including 3 battleships." Yoon Tae smiled grimly. "Signal the colony. Begin final preparations, and activate the ship's true configuration." The pair. Bridge around him transformed as holographic panels disappeared and real control systems emerged. The Incheon's exterior began to shift and expand as the disguise fell away. What had appeared to be a simple patrol ship revealed itself as a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons that should not have existed. Back on Nexus Prime, Quinara sat alone in her quarters reviewing human historical records. She had spent years studying Earth's past. She knew about their wars, their innovations, their ability to adapt and overcome any challenge. The other aliens saw humans as soft because they chose peace. They saw them as weak because they followed rules. But Quinara saw something else in the historical records. She saw a species that had conquered their own planet through warfare, then chosen to stop fighting. A species that had developed weapons capable of destroying worlds, then decided to limit themselves. "They're not weak," she whispered to herself. "They're sleeping giants." Her communicator chimed with an urgent message from her homeworld. The Zeridian Republic was ordering all their ships to stay away from human space for the next week. They had apparently received a private warning from Earth. Quinara realized with growing horror that the humans had been planning for this day all along. Every peaceful gesture, every diplomatic meeting, every trade agreement had been preparation for war. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. The 72-hour deadline was now 66 hours away, and the universe was about to change forever. The Korthak fleet dropped out of hyperspace above New Busan exactly as predicted. War Chief Grixtal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Bone Crusher, watching the peaceful colony below. 200 ships filled the space around the small world, their weapons charged and ready. "Look at this pathetic place," Grixtal growled to his officers. A few farming domes and a tiny spaceport. The humans cannot even defend their own colonies properly. His tactical officer pointed at the scanner display. War Chief, I detect one small human ship in orbit. It appears to be a patrol vessel. Very old design. Grixtal laughed. One ship? Send a message to that rust bucket. Tell them to surrender or be destroyed. On the surface of New Busan, the last civilian transport lifted off from the spaceport. Governor Li Min watched from the command bunker. As his people reached safety in the deep underground shelters, the colony above ground now appeared completely abandoned. All civilians are secure, reported Choi So-young. The surface installations are ready for battle. Li Min nodded. Signal Captain Yoon. Tell him the colony is clear. In orbit, Captain Yoon Tae received the Korthak surrender demand with amusement. His ship still looked like an old patrol vessel to their sensors. The holographic camouflage was perfect, hiding the true nature of the UES Incheon. Captain, said his communications officer, the Korthak are demanding our surrender. They give us 60 seconds to power down our weapons. Reply that we decline. Their generous offer, Yoon Tae said calmly. And signal all hidden ships in the system. It's time to reveal ourselves. The Korthak waited exactly 60 seconds, then opened fire. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles streaked toward the small human ship. Grixtal expected to see it destroyed instantly. Instead, the beams struck a powerful energy shield that flared to life around the human vessel. The missiles exploded harmlessly against the barrier. Then the ship began to change. The holographic disguise fell away like a shed skin. The small patrol vessel grew larger and larger as its true form was revealed. Hidden weapon ports opened along its hull. Additional armor plating extended from concealed compartments. Within seconds, a massive dreadnought hung in space where the patrol ship had been. Impossible, whispered Grixtal. How did they hide a ship that large? His question was answered as space around New Busan filled with more human ships. They appeared from behind asteroids, from within gas clouds, from empty space itself. Each one had been hiding, waiting for this moment. Captain Yoon Tae studied his tactical display with satisfaction. 50 human ships now surrounded the Korthak fleet. The aliens outnumbered them 4-1, but numbers would not save them today. All ships, this is Incheon Actual, he broadcast. Execute Plan Mjolnir. Show them what human engineering really looks like. The human ships opened fire simultaneously, but these were not the simple energy weapons the aliens expected. Streams of exotic matter tore through Korthak shields like paper. Gravity bombs warped space-time itself, crushing enemy ships. Swarms of intelligent missiles tracked their targets through impossible maneuvers. Grixtal watched in horror as his mighty fleet was torn apart. Ships that had served the Korthak Empire for centuries died in seconds. His own flagship shook under the impact of weapons he had never seen before. "Return fire!" he roared. "All ships, focus on the lead human vessel." The remaining Korthak ships obeyed, concentrating their firepower on the Incheon. Energy beams powerful enough to crack planets struck the human dreadnought. For a moment, Grixtal hoped they might damage it. The human ship's shields held perfectly. Worse, the vessel began to glow with increasing brightness as it absorbed the incoming energy. Then it redirected all that power into a single devastating beam that cut the bone crusher in half. Grixtal's last thought as his ship exploded was that the humans had been toying with them all along. The Battle of New Busan lasted exactly 14 minutes. When it ended, 200 Korthak ships were destroyed or disabled. The human fleet had suffered no casualties, but this was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as hidden human fleets revealed themselves. Admiral Kang Soo-jin commanded the assault on hegemony border stations. Her ships appeared from the void like ghosts, striking installations that had stood for thousands of years. The hegemony had built their border forts to withstand massive fleet attacks. The thick armor and heavy shields could resist bombardment for days, but human weapons cut through their defenses in minutes. Exotic matter beams carved through hull plating like hot knives through butter. Station Commander Velnox sent desperate messages as his fortress died around him. Unknown human vessels, this is Hegemony Border Station 7. We surrender. Please stop firing. Admiral Kang's reply was cold and professional. Hegemony Station 7, you have 60 seconds to evacuate all personnel before final destruction. The aliens barely had time to reach their escape pods before the massive station exploded. Across the border, dozens of similar installations met the same fate. Fleet Commander O.J. Sung led lightning strikes against military bases deep in alien territory. His ships moved faster than anything in the galaxy, appearing and disappearing before the enemy could react. Bases that had been considered impregnable fell in hours. The aliens began to realize the terrifying truth. Every human merchant ship that had visited their ports had been gathering intelligence. Every diplomatic mission had been mapping their defenses. Every trade agreement had been positioning assets for this moment. How long? Admiral Park Jin asked from Earth Command. How long have we been preparing for this? Dr. Kim Hai pulled up the classified files. The first strategic plans date back 52 years, Admiral. We've been ready for Galactic War since the day we joined the Council. Park Jin nodded grimly. Humanity had hoped for peace, but they had prepared for war. While the aliens grew complacent, with their superior numbers, humans had been innovating, planning, and positioning themselves for inevitable conflict. Communications Officer Lee Yuna looked up from her station. Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 different alien military commands. They want to negotiate. Too late for negotiations, Park Jin replied. They had 50 years to choose peace. Signal all fleet commanders. Continue the offensive until they achieve total capitulation. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council met. In emergency session. The Great Hall was filled with panicked voices as reports streamed in from across the galaxy. Alien fleets were being destroyed faster than anyone could count. How is this possible? Demanded Veltar. Our intelligence said humans had 300 ships total. Ambassador Quinara stood up slowly. Your intelligence was wrong. You counted only the ships they wanted you to see. The truth was becoming clear to everyone. The small human fleet that had been dismissed so easily was actually massive. Hidden shipyards in asteroid belts had been building dreadnoughts for decades. Secret bases in deep space had been stockpiling weapons and supplies. We underestimated them, Quinara continued. We saw their restraint and mistook it for weakness. We demanded they show us their true strength. Emergency alarms began sounding. Throughout Nexus Prime, long-range sensors detected human fleets approaching the galactic capital itself. Ships that moved faster than anything in known space, armed with weapons that defied understanding. The aliens had wanted to see humanity without restraints. Now they would face the consequences of that choice. The war they had started would end very quickly, but not in the way they had expected. The galaxy was about to learn that some sleeping giants should never be awakened. In the command center beneath Earth's ocean, Admiral Park Jin watched the tactical displays with professional satisfaction. Every alien military target was being systematically eliminated with minimal human casualties. "Sir," reported Commander Ju Min-ho, "we've achieved space superiority in 47 star systems. Alien resistance is collapsing faster than projected." Park Jin allowed himself a small smile. "Signal all commanders. Phase 2 begins in 6 hours. It's time to show them what human ground forces can do." The galaxy had demanded war without mercy. Humanity was about to deliver exactly that. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going for 6 hours. Alien representatives sat in shocked silence as reports continued streaming in from across the galaxy. Human fleets were appearing everywhere, destroying military installations with terrifying efficiency. Director Lim Hae-young of Human Intelligence walked into the Great Hall of Nexus Prime without permission. Security guards moved to stop her, but she simply showed them a small device. Their weapons powered down automatically, and they stepped aside with confused expressions. "Honored council members," Lim Hae-young said, her voice carrying clearly through the vast dome, "you asked to see humanity without restraints. Allow me to explain what that means." Veltar coiled his serpentine body nervously. "You have no right to address this council, human. Security, remove her immediately." "Your security systems are under our control," Lim Hae-young replied calmly. "Have been for 20 years, actually. Every time a human diplomat visited this station, we installed more monitoring devices. We know everything that happens here." She activated a holographic display that filled the center of the hall. Star maps appeared, showing the galaxy in incredible detail. Every alien military base, every fleet position, every strategic resource was marked and cataloged. For 50 years, every human merchant ship has been gathering intelligence. Every diplomatic mission has been mapping your defenses. Every cultural exchange has been identifying key targets. You thought we were peaceful traders and curious tourists. The hologram zoomed in on specific systems. Hegemony Border Station 7. We knew it had 60,000 personnel and could withstand bombardment for 72 hours. That's why we used exotic matter weapons that cut through the armor in 4 minutes. Another system appeared. Korthak Fleet Base Gamma. You thought it was hidden in the nebula. We've been monitoring it for 30 years. We know every ship that docks there, every supply run, every patrol schedule. Grixtal's replacement, War Chief Mokhtar, stood up angrily. "This is impossible. Our security is perfect. No alien has ever penetrated our military secrets." "No alien," Lim Hae-young agreed. "But humans are very good at pretending to be harmless. Your people trusted us because we seemed weak. You told us things you would never tell the hegemony or the syndicate." The hologram showed footage from inside alien military facilities. Human visitors toured secret bases, asking innocent questions about ship designs and defensive capabilities. Alien officers proudly explained their tactics and technology, never suspecting the curious humans were recording everything. "Dr. Song Kyung will now explain how we used this intelligence," Lim Hae-young said. A new hologram appeared as Dr. Song Kyung took over the presentation. The display showed human ship designs that made the aliens gasp in shock, sleek vessels that seemed to bend space around them, weapons that fired controlled singularities, shields that turned incoming energy into additional power. While you focused on maintaining the status quo, we never stopped innovating, Dr. Song explained. Your technology has barely changed in 1,000 years. You became comfortable with your superiority and stopped pushing forward. The hologram showed a comparison between alien and human capabilities. Human ships were faster, more heavily armed, and far more advanced than anything in the galaxy. Even worse, they had been hiding this technology for decades. Your fastest ships can travel at warp factor 8, Dr. Song continued. Our standard cruisers operate at warp factor 12. Your most powerful weapons output 50 terawatts. Our basic fighter cannons exceed 200 terawatts. Empress Talvera of the Syndicate spoke up, her crystalline voice trembling. But the energy requirements, how do you power such weapons? 0-point energy extraction, Dr. Song replied simply. We learned to tap into the quantum vacuum 50 years ago. Every human ship has essentially unlimited power. The aliens stared in growing horror as the true scope of human advancement became clear. They had been competing with stone tools while humans wielded nuclear weapons. General Nam Dong's image appeared in the hologram, broadcasting from Earth. Military doctrine briefing for alien command personnel, he began formally. You asked for war without mercy. Let me explain what that means to humans. The display showed human military organization charts. Instead of the few hundred ships the aliens had counted, the real human fleet numbered in the tens of thousands. Massive dreadnoughts, carrier vessels holding thousands of fighters, support ships with capabilities that defied physics. Human military doctrine is based on a simple principle, General Nam continued. If war is inevitable, prepare to win it completely and permanently. We don't fight to gain territory or resources. We fight to ensure the enemy can never threaten us again. The hologram showed human colonies that the aliens thought were weak farming settlements. Hidden beneath the surface were underground military bases, automated defense networks, and manufacturing facilities that could build warships in weeks instead of years. Every human colony is a fortress, Nam explained. Every civilian has military training. Every merchant ship can convert to a combat vessel in hours. You thought you were attacking helpless farmers. You were actually assaulting prepared military positions. Ambassador Quinara finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. How long have you been planning this? Lim Hae-young smiled coldly. Since the day we joined the Galactic Council, we studied your histories, your wars, your methods of diplomacy. We realized that peace was temporary. Eventually, someone would decide to test human resolve. The hologram showed a timeline stretching back 50 years. Every major event in galactic politics had been anticipated and planned for. Human responses to every possible scenario had been prepared in advance. We hoped you would choose coexistence, Lim continued. We genuinely wanted peace. But we knew that more powerful species rarely allow weaker ones to exist independently, so we made sure you would never see us as weak again. The presentation shifted to show current battle reports. Human fleets were systematically destroying alien military capabilities across the galaxy. Bases that had stood for millennia were being reduced to scrap metal in minutes. Your combined fleets outnumbered our visible ships 1,000 to 1. General Nam said. But you never counted our invisible ships. You never considered our hidden bases. You never imagined our true technological level. Fleet positions appeared on the display, showing the real scope of human military power. Every major star system had human forces nearby. Every important trade route was monitored. Every alien military installation was targeted. We have been ready for this war since before most of you were born, Nam concluded. Every strategy you might use has been anticipated. Every defensive position you might take has been studied. Every possible alliance you might form has been planned for. The aliens sat in stunned silence as the magnitude of their mistake became clear. They had not simply underestimated humanity, they had completely misunderstood what humans were capable of when pushed to violence. But why? Veltar asked desperately. Why hide this? Why pretend to be weak? Because we hoped you would be wise enough to choose peace, Lim Hae-young replied. We gave you 50 years to learn how to coexist with us. We showed restraint because we wanted you to see us as partners, not threats. She gestured to the tactical displays showing human fleets destroying alien forces. This is what humanity looks like without restraints. This is what we tried to spare you from experiencing. Dr. Song stepped forward again. Your mistake was assuming that our restraint meant inability. You thought we followed your rules because we had to. You never considered that we chose to limit ourselves. The truth was devastating. Humanity had been holding back their true strength for decades, hoping that other species would learn to live peacefully with them. When diplomacy failed, they had revealed their real capabilities. What happens now? Empress Talvera asked. General, Nam's expression was grim, but professional. Now you face the consequences of choosing war over peace. Your military forces will be eliminated completely. Your ability to threaten anyone will be permanently removed. The aliens realized with growing terror that they had awakened something that could not be stopped. The gentle, peaceful humans they had known were gone. In their place was a species that had been preparing for galactic war longer than most civilizations had existed. The presentation ended with a simple message from Earth's government. You wanted to see humanity without mercy. You have 72 hours to surrender all military forces unconditionally, or face total annihilation. The galaxy had demanded to see human strength. Now they understood why humanity had worked so hard to keep it hidden. The Hegemony High Command met in their deepest bunker, buried beneath miles of rock on their homeworld. Supreme Leader Vexmana watched the tactical displays with growing desperation. In 3 days, human forces had destroyed 60% of their military infrastructure. We cannot win this war through conventional means, he hissed to his assembled generals. The humans are too advanced, too prepared. We need a new strategy. General Kelvaros leaned forward eagerly. Supreme Leader, we have bioweapons in our arsenal. Viruses designed to target specific genetic markers. If we cannot defeat their fleets, perhaps we can strike at their civilian populations. Vexmana considered this carefully. The Galactic Conventions prohibited biological warfare against civilian targets. But the conventions were written by species who had never faced extinction. Which human colony is most vulnerable? He asked. New. Sol, Kelvaros replied immediately. Agricultural world, 300,000 civilians, light defenses. The humans have evacuated their military personnel to focus on other fronts. New Sol hung peacefully in space, its surface covered with vast farming domes and processing facilities. The planet fed 12 other human colonies and provided surplus food for trade with alien species. Governor Yang Mi-kyung had chosen to keep the farms operating even during wartime. The people need food, she had told the evacuation officers. We cannot abandon our responsibility to feed them, war or no war. Most of the civilian population had agreed to stay. They were farmers, engineers, and scientists who believed they were safe from military targeting. The Galactic Conventions had protected civilian populations for thousands of years. Dr. An Sung-woo worked in the atmospheric processing station, monitoring air quality across the planet. It was routine work that kept the farming domes at optimal conditions. He noticed the first anomaly at 1432 local time. Strange, he muttered, checking his readings again. Atmospheric composition is shifting in Dome 7. His colleague, Dr. Park Yoon-suk, looked over his shoulder. Equipment malfunction? No, the sensors are working fine. Something is actually changing the air chemistry. Dr. On ran more detailed scans. This doesn't make sense. It looks like someone released some kind of aerosol. The first victim started collapsing 20 minutes later. Workers in Dome 7 suddenly fell to their knees, screaming in pain. Their skin began to change color, shifting from normal pink to an ugly purple-black. Blood poured from their eyes and mouths. Dr. Park ran emergency protocols, sealing Dome 7 and alerting medical teams. But the quarantine was too late. The bioweapon was already spreading through the air circulation systems to other domes. Governor Yang received the emergency alert in her office. "What's the situation?" she demanded as her medical staff rushed to the scene. "Unknown biological agent," reported Chief Medical Officer Dr. Yu Jae Min. "Spreads through airborne transmission, attacks human genetic markers specifically. Victims experience massive organ failure within hours." Yang felt ice in her veins. "Are you saying this is a bioweapon designed to kill humans?" "Yes, Governor. And it's spreading faster than we can contain it. The hegemony bioweapon had been designed, over centuries, to target human physiology. It attacked the nervous system first, causing incredible pain. Then it dissolved blood vessels from the inside, leading to hemorrhaging throughout the body. Finally, it caused complete organ shutdown. There was no cure. There was no treatment. The victims could only suffer and die. Dr. On and Dr. Park were among the first to succumb. They died at their monitoring stations, trying to track the weapon's spread even as it killed them. Their last act was to send a complete data package to Earth, ensuring that scientists there would understand what had happened. Within 6 hours, the bioweapon had reached every dome on New Sol. 300,000 civilians died in agony, as their own bodies turned against them. Governor Yang was one of the last to die, staying at her post to coordinate rescue efforts until the weapon finally claimed her. The footage reached Earth 12 hours later. Admiral Park Jin watched the recordings in horrified silence. Entire families dead in their homes, children who had died crying for parents who could not help them, scientists who had worked until their last breath to find a cure that did not exist. President Ko Hyun addressed the nation from the capital. His usual calm demeanor was gone, replaced by cold fury that chilled everyone who saw him. "Citizens of Earth and all human colonies," he began, his voice steady but filled with deadly promise. "The hegemony has committed an atrocity beyond imagination. They have used bioweapons against innocent civilians. They have murdered 300,000 men, women, and children who posed no military threat." The president's eyes seemed to burn as he continued. "The aliens wanted to see humanity without restraints. They wanted war without mercy. They have crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed." In the command center, Admiral Park Jin received new orders that made his blood run cold. Total war protocols were now in effect. All previous limitations on human military action were removed. "Signal all fleet commanders," Park Jin ordered. "Execute Protocol Omega. No alien military installation is to be left intact. No alien warship is to be spared." Admiral Shin Da-un received the new orders aboard her flagship in the Hegemony Core Systems. She had been conducting surgical strikes against military targets, carefully avoiding civilian casualties. Now those restrictions were lifted. "All ships, this is Admiral Shin," she broadcast to her fleet. "We have new rules of engagement. Any installation that can support military operations is now a legitimate target. Industrial facilities, shipyards, training academies, Destroy them all. The human fleet that had been showing restraint suddenly unleashed its full fury. Weapons that had been held in reserve were deployed for the first time. Space stations that processed military supplies were vaporized. Shipyards that built alien. Vessels were reduced to scrap metal. Colonel Bae Ho-seok led the first ground assault teams onto alien worlds. His soldiers were no longer the careful peacekeepers they had been before. They moved through alien military bases like a force of nature, showing no mercy to anyone in uniform. But even in their fury, the humans maintained their code. Civilian areas were still protected. Non-combatants were evacuated before military strikes. The distinction between soldier and civilian remained sacred to human forces. This restraint terrified the aliens more than brutality would have. They realized that even in total war, humans retained their moral code. They killed with precision and purpose, not from bloodlust or hatred. Field Marshal Ryu Jun deployed humanity's most terrifying weapons for the first time. Swarms of self-replicating nanobots consumed entire alien fleets, breaking down their ships at the molecular level. Gravity bombs collapsed space-time itself, creating miniature black holes that devoured everything nearby. The aliens discovered that humans had been developing weapons of unimaginable power while pretending to be a peaceful species. Technologies that could destroy planets, warp reality, and bend the laws of physics to their will. On Nexus Prime, the remaining members of the Galactic Council watched their civilizations being systematically dismantled. Every attempt at negotiation was refused. Every plea for mercy was ignored. "They will not stop," Quinara said quietly. "Not until every alien military force is destroyed completely." Veltar writhed in panic. "There must be something we can do, some way to make them listen." "You used bioweapons against civilians," Quinara replied coldly. "You killed 300,000 innocent people. Did you think there would be no consequences?" The truth was becoming clear to all the aliens. The humans had shown restraint not from weakness, but from strength. They had limited themselves because they understood the terrible responsibility that came with their power. But when that power was finally unleashed without limits, it was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The gentle species that had asked only for peace had become an unstoppable force of destruction. The hegemony tried to surrender, but their communications were ignored. Human fleets continued their systematic destruction of alien military capabilities. There would be no negotiation until every threat was eliminated. In the depths of space, Dr. Moon Ja-young activated humanity's ultimate weapon for the first time. The Star Killer had been theoretical until now, a device that could trigger stellar collapse on command. She targeted an uninhabited system and sent the activation signal. The star flickered once, then began to collapse in on itself. Within hours, it exploded in a supernova that could be seen from hundreds of light years away. The message was clear: surrender completely, or watch your homeworlds burn. The galaxy had demanded war without mercy. Humanity was delivering exactly what they had asked for. Admiral Park Sun-mi stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Retribution, watching the hegemony capital system burn. Her fleet of 300 ships moved through space like angels of destruction, systematically dismantling every military installation they encountered. "Admiral," reported her tactical officer, "the orbital defense platforms are destroyed. The shipyards are offline. The planetary shield generators have been eliminated." Park Sun-mi nodded coldly. "Signal the surface. They have 1 hour to evacuate." All military personnel from the government district. After that, we level it. Below them, the hegemony homeworld writhed in panic. Supreme Leader. Vexamana broadcast desperate surrender offers from his bunker, but the human fleet did not respond. They had moved beyond negotiation now. Only complete capitulation would end this war. General Quan In-Su coordinated ground operations from his command ship in orbit around the Korthak homeworld. His forces had landed on 17 different planets simultaneously, each assault perfectly timed to overwhelm alien defenses. General, reported Colonel Kim Hyo-jin from the surface. Korthak ground forces are retreating to their mountain fortresses. They're trying to dig in for a long siege. Negative, Quan replied firmly. We don't have time for sieges. Deploy the bunker buster bombs. Turn those mountains into glass. The weapons that struck the Korthak fortifications were beyond anything the aliens had imagined. Devices that could penetrate miles of solid rock and detonate with the force of small suns. Ancient fortress complexes that had withstood attacks for thousands of years were vaporized in seconds. But what terrified the aliens most was not the power of human weapons. It was the speed at which humans adapted to every challenge, every defensive strategy the aliens tried was overcome within hours. Every trap they set was detected and neutralized before it could be sprung. Dr. Moon Jae-young prepared to demonstrate the Star Killer weapon again. This time, the target would not be an empty system. Intelligence reports indicated that the Syndicate had hidden a major fleet base inside the corona of a dying star, thinking the environment would protect them from attack. Target acquired, she reported to Admiral Park Jin on Earth. Syndicate. Fleet Base Omega, concealed within the outer layers of the star Kepler 442. Shall I proceed? Park Jin's authorization came back within seconds. Proceed. Show them that nowhere in the galaxy is safe from human reach. Dr. Moon activated the Starkiller device. The dying star, already unstable, began to collapse much faster than nature intended. The hidden alien fleet base tried to escape as their protective star turned into a supernova, but it was too late. 1,700 Syndicate ships were consumed in the stellar explosion. The demonstration sent shock waves through the remaining alien governments. The humans could trigger supernovas at will. No defense could stop such a weapon. No hiding place could protect them. On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Quinara attempted to mediate between the human forces and what remained of the galactic governments. She had been trying for days to establish communication with Earth, but the humans were no longer interested in diplomatic solutions. They won't even answer our messages, she told the emergency council session. They've moved beyond diplomacy entirely. Veltar coiled nervously in his speaking platform. There must be something we can offer them. Resources, territory, technology. They don't want our resources, Quinara replied sadly. They have better technology than we do. They don't need territory. They're already taking whatever they want. The only thing they want now is our complete surrender. Field Marshal Ryu Jun deployed some of humanity's most terrifying weapons for the first time. Swarms of nanobots that could consume entire fleets, breaking down alien ships at the molecular level and rebuilding them as human vessels. The aliens watched in horror as their own ships turned against them. It's like fighting ghosts, reported Korthak War Chief Golmak from his retreating fleet. Their ships appear from nowhere, destroy everything in sight, then vanish before we can respond. The human fleet had mastered the art of warfare in ways the aliens had never imagined. They used stealth technology that made their ships invisible to all known sensors. They employed weapons that attacked matter itself, unmaking enemy vessels at the quantum level. Commander Jang Hyo-sung led a strike force against the Syndicate's primary research facility, where alien scientists had been working on weapons to counter human technology. His ships surrounded the massive station in deep space. "Attention Syndicate Research Station Alpha," he broadcast. "You have 30 minutes to evacuate all personnel. After that, this facility will be destroyed." The alien scientists worked frantically to download their research data while evacuation ships rushed to save them. They had been so close to developing weapons that might hurt human ships. Now their work would be erased forever. Commander Jang watched the evacuation ships depart with professional satisfaction. Even in total war, humans maintained their code of protecting non-combatants. But once the civilians were safe, the research station was annihilated by weapons that turned matter into pure energy. What chilled the aliens most was the restraint the humans still showed. They could have exterminated entire species, but chose, instead, to surgically remove their military capabilities. They demonstrated power beyond imagination, then used it with precision that spoke of incredible discipline. Admiral Kim Chan-ho detected massive alien fleet movements toward the Sol system. Long-range sensors showed nearly 1 million ships gathering for what appeared to be a final desperate assault on Earth itself. "Admiral," reported his intelligence officer, "it's a combined fleet. Hegemony, Korthak, Syndicate, and 5 minor species. They're throwing everything they have left at our home world." Kim Chan-ho smiled grimly. "Signal Earth Command. Tell them the aliens are coming home to visit. And activate the Sol defense grid." The aliens believed that striking at Earth would break human morale and force a negotiated peace. They had gathered every remaining warship in the galaxy for this final gamble. Nearly 1 million vessels, representing the combined military might of 12 different species. Defense Minister Yu Yunji received the alert in her command center beneath the Pacific Ocean. She had been waiting for this moment for 50 years. The Sol system was not just humanity's home. It was the most heavily fortified place in the galaxy. "All defense stations report ready," her tactical officer announced. "The asteroid belt grid is online. Luna Base is at full power. The outer system platforms are armed and waiting." What the aliens didn't know was that humanity had spent 5 decades turning their entire home system into a massive weapons platform. Every asteroid had been hollowed out and fitted with weapons. The moon itself had been converted into a fortress that could destroy fleets. Captain Lim Yu-jin commanded Defense Platform Omega, one of hundreds of installations hidden throughout the outer solar system. Each platform was more powerful than most alien battleships, and they had been carefully positioned to create overlapping fields of fire. "Contact," reported his sensor operator. "The alien fleet is entering the Kuiper Belt. Estimated strength, 850,000 vessels." "Signal. All platforms," Captain Lim ordered. "Prepare to show our visitors some human hospitality." The alien armada expected to find Earth defended by the same small fleet they had always seen. Instead, they discovered they had flown into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history. The entire solar system was a carefully orchestrated kill zone. Admiral Song Hee-jin coordinated the defense from Earth's command center. She watched the tactical displays with professional interest as the alien fleet realized what they had stumbled into. "First contact in 30 minutes, she announced to her staff. "Signal all hidden assets. It's time to defend our home." The Battle of Sol would become the stuff of legend. The largest alien fleet ever assembled would meet defenses that had been 50 years in the making. Earth's children were coming home, and humanity was ready to welcome them properly. As the alien ships advanced deeper into the solar system, automated defense systems began awakening. Weapons that had waited in darkness for decades powered up. For the first time, the asteroid belt itself became a wall of destruction. "This is it," Admiral Song said quietly. "This is where we show them why humans chose to leave Earth in the first place. We didn't flee to the stars because we were weak. We left because we were too dangerous to keep in one place." The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapons had never left home. They had been waiting patiently in the Sol system for someone to be foolish enough to attack Earth directly. The aliens wanted to see human strength without limits. They were about to discover that Earth itself was humanity's ultimate weapon. The emergency meeting took place in the deepest vault of the hegemony homeworld, protected by miles of rock and advanced shielding. War Chief Zexmon of the broken hegemony forces sat across from Empress Talvera of the Syndicate, two leaders who had been enemies for centuries. "We are dying," Zexmon said bluntly. "The humans are dismantling our civilizations piece by piece. If we don't act together, we will all be slaves within weeks." Empress Talvera's crystalline form flickered with nervous energy. "My fleets are reduced to 20% strength. The humans destroyed our primary shipyards yesterday. We cannot build new vessels fast enough to replace our losses." Around the table sat representatives of 10 other alien species, all facing the same terrible reality. Human forces were systematically destroying their military capabilities with surgical precision. Every attempt at resistance had failed completely. "There is one chance," said Admiral Kexalon of the Vorthon Republic. "Earth itself. The human homeworld is the center of their power. If we can destroy it, perhaps we can break their will to fight." Zexmon leaned forward eagerly. "Our combined fleets still outnumber any force they have shown us. If we gather every remaining ship from all our species, the largest armada in galactic history," Talavera agreed. "Nearly 1,000,000 vessels. Even the humans cannot stand against such numbers." The plan was desperate, but it was all they had left. Every surviving alien government agreed to contribute their remaining military forces. Ships that had been held in reserve, vessels recalled from distant patrols, even training craft pressed into service. Within 72 hours, the greatest fleet ever assembled in the galaxy was moving towards Sol. 850,000. Ships from 12 different species armed with every weapon they possessed. It was a sight that would have terrified any enemy in galactic history. Admiral Kim Chan-ho detected their approach while they were still 3 light-years away. He stood in the command center of Earth Defense Station Alpha, watching long-range. Sensors tracked the massive alien formation. "Size estimate?" he asked his tactical officer. 850,000 vessels confirmed, Admiral. Possibly more ships joining the formation as they advance. It's definitely the largest fleet ever assembled. Kim Chan-ho nodded calmly. He had been waiting for this moment his entire career. "Signal Earth Command. Tell Admiral Song that our guests are arriving for the party." Defense Minister Yu Yun-ji received the report in her underground command center. The massive holographic display showed the alien fleet's approach vector and estimated arrival time. She smiled coldly at the tactical projection. "They think they're attacking a planet," she said to her staff. "They have no idea they're flying into the most sophisticated weapon system in the galaxy." For 50 years, humanity had been preparing for exactly this scenario. While the aliens had focused on building larger fleets, humans had turned their entire home system into a fortress that could destroy armadas. Captain Lim Yu-jin commanded Defense Platform Omega, hidden in the outer asteroid belt. His station looked like a simple mining facility to alien sensors, but it contained enough firepower to annihilate entire fleets. Hundreds of similar platforms waited throughout the solar system. "Captain," reported his sensor operator, "I'm tracking the alien formation. They're maintaining course directly for Earth. No deviations, no scouting parties. They're coming straight at us." "Perfect," Lim Yu-jin replied. "Signal all hidden platforms. Begin final preparation sequences. In 6 hours, we show these aliens why nobody attacks Earth." The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, expecting to find Earth's small defensive force waiting for them. Instead, they encountered what appeared to be an empty star system with only a few patrol ships visible. "Where are they?" demanded Zexmon from his flagship. "Long-range scans show minimal human presence. A few dozen ships at most." Empress Talvera studied her sensor readings carefully. "This feels wrong. The humans have shown incredible tactical skill throughout this war. Why would they leave their homeworld so lightly defended?" But the other alien commanders were eager for battle. They had suffered too many defeats to question an apparent victory. The massive armada began its advance toward the inner system, confident that sheer numbers would overwhelm any resistance. Admiral Song Hee-jin watched from Earth's primary command center as the alien fleet moved deeper into her trap. Every step they took brought them closer to weapons that had been waiting decades for this moment. "Distance to first engagement zone?" she asked. 40 minutes at current speed," her tactical officer replied. "The automated systems are tracking all targets. Firing solutions calculated and ready." What the aliens didn't know was that the entire asteroid belt had been converted into a defensive grid. Every large asteroid contained hidden weapons platforms. Every piece of space debris was actually a camouflaged sensor node or missile launcher. The moon itself had been hollowed out and transformed into humanity's ultimate fortress. Luna Base contained weapons that could crack planets and shields that could withstand stellar bombardment. It looked peaceful from space, but it was actually the most dangerous object in the solar system. Captain Hong Seok led the human fighter squadrons that would engage the alien fleet directly. His ships were outnumbered 1,000 to 1, but they carried weapons that defied alien understanding. Each fighter was more powerful than most alien battleships. "All pilots, this is Red Leader," he broadcast to his squadron. "Remember, we're not trying to win this fight through numbers. We're the bait that draws them into the real trap." The first alien scouts reached the outer edge of the asteroid belt and immediately detected the human fighters. Zexmon ordered his forward elements to engage, confident that his overwhelming numbers would crush the small human force. The battle began exactly as Admiral Song had planned. Human fighters engaged alien scouts in the asteroid belt, appearing to be overwhelmed by superior numbers. The alien fleet accelerated forward, eager to exploit their apparent advantage. That was when the asteroids began shooting back. Hidden weapon platforms revealed themselves throughout the belt, opening fire with weapons that turned entire alien formations into expanding clouds of plasma. What had seemed like empty space suddenly filled with defensive installations that had been waiting in perfect camouflage. "Impossible!" Zexmon roared as his forward scouts were annihilated. "How did they hide so many weapons?" Dr. Cho Yong activated the Sol Defense Grid's ultimate protocol from his station on Luna Base. The moon's true nature was revealed as massive weapon ports opened across its surface. The peaceful celestial body that had watched over Earth for millions of years became an instrument of destruction. Solar collectors that had seemed like civilian power stations suddenly redirected their energy into weapons that fired concentrated stellar plasma. The sun itself became part of Earth's defense system, its power channeled through human technology into beams that could vaporize capital ships. Fleet Commander No Kyung-min led the counterattack from his hidden base in the outer system. His ships had been waiting in the shadows beyond Pluto, invisible to alien sensors. Now they struck at the alien fleet's rear, cutting off any possibility of retreat. The alien armada found itself trapped in a kill zone that had been 50 years in the making. Every direction they turned revealed new human weapons. Every attempt to advance met with devastating fire from hidden platforms. Every effort to retreat was blocked by fresh human forces. "We're surrounded," Empress Talvera reported, in growing panic. "They have weapons everywhere. The entire system is a trap." Zexmon watched his mighty fleet being dismantled with terrifying efficiency. Ships that had served for centuries were destroyed in seconds. Formations that had conquered worlds were scattered like leaves in a storm. "How many ships do they have?" he demanded of his tactical officer. "Unknown, War Chief. Our sensors cannot penetrate their stealth technology. They could have 10,000 ships or 100,000. We cannot tell." The truth was even worse than Zexmon imagined. The humans didn't need massive fleets to defend Earth. They had turned their entire home system into a weapon. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of orbital infrastructure was part of a coordinated defense network. Ambassador Quinara watched the battle unfold from her ship at the edge of the system. She had come to witness what she knew would be the final engagement of the war. The sight filled her with both awe and terror. "They're not just defending their homeworld," she whispered to her aide. "They've turned their star system into the ultimate fortress. This isn't a battle, it's an execution." The aliens had wanted to break human resolve by attacking Earth. Instead, they had delivered themselves into the hands of humanity's most devastating weapons. The largest fleet in galactic history was being systematically destroyed by defenses that had waited patiently for this exact moment. As alien ships died by the thousands, one terrible truth became clear to all observers. The humans had never been afraid of invasion. They had been hoping for it. Earth wasn't humanity's weakness, it was their ultimate strength. The Battle of Sol had been raging for 3 hours when Admiral Song Hee-jin realized the aliens were beginning to understand the true scope of the trap they had flown into. The massive alien armada was being systematically destroyed, but their commanders were finally adapting to the reality of fighting in humanity's home system. "Admiral," reported her tactical officer, "the alien fleet is attempting to form a defensive sphere. They're trying to concentrate their remaining ships for a final push toward Earth." Song Hee-jin studied the tactical display with professional interest. Nearly 200,000 alien ships had already been destroyed by the Sol defense grid, but over 600,000 remained. The survivors were finally working together with the desperation of cornered animals. "Signal Captain Hong," she ordered. "Tell him to pull back his fighters. It's time for the next phase." Captain Hong Seok received the order just as his squadron finished destroying another wave of alien scouts. His fighters had been dancing through the asteroid field for hours, appearing to be overwhelmed while actually drawing the alien fleet deeper into the trap. "All pilots, this is Red Leader," he broadcast. "Phase 1 complete. Withdraw to Rally Point Alpha and prepare for Phase 2 operations." The human fighters vanished into the asteroid field as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving the alien fleet, alone with the automated defense systems. But the worst was yet to come. Dr. Cho Yong prepared to activate the Sol Defense Grid's most devastating weapon from his control station deep within Luna Base. The moon had been humanity's most ambitious engineering project, hollowed out over decades and transformed into a fortress that could destroy fleets. "Luna Base to Earth Command," he reported. "Solar collection array at full power. Stellar plasma cannon ready for firing." The weapon Dr. Cho controlled was beyond alien comprehension. Humanity had learned to channel the power of their star itself, focusing solar energy into beams that could vaporize anything they touched. The sun that had given life to Earth would now defend it. War Chief Zexmon watched in horror as Luna Base revealed its true nature. What had appeared to be a simple moon was actually bristling with weapons that dwarfed anything in the galaxy. Massive cannon ports opened across its surface like the eyes of some cosmic monster. "All ships, emergency maneuvers," he broadcast to his remaining fleet. "That moon is not what it seems." But it was too late for evasive action. The stellar plasma cannon fired, sending a beam of concentrated solar fire through the alien formation. Ships caught in its path were not destroyed. They simply ceased to exist, their matter converted to energy and scattered across space. Empress Talvera's flagship barely escaped the first beam, its shields overloading from the proximity blast. "Impossible," she whispered, staring at sensor readings that made no sense. "They're firing the power of a star at us." Fleet Commander No Kyung-min chose this moment to reveal the human fleet's true strength. His ships had been hiding beyond the outer planets, invisible to alien sensors. Now they struck at the alien formation from all directions simultaneously. "All ships, this is Fleet Command," No broadcast. "Execute final judgment protocol. Show them what 50 years of preparation looks like." The human ships that emerged from hiding were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. These were not the simple vessels they had grown accustomed to fighting. These were the products of humanity's greatest technological achievements, built in secret shipyards and armed with weapons that bent the laws of physics. Captain Yoon Tae, now commanding a full battle group instead of his single disguised ship, led the assault on the alien fleet's left flank. His dreadnoughts moved through space like predators, their exotic matter weapons carving through alien formations with surgical precision. "Target the command ships first," he ordered his captains. "Cut off their coordination and they'll fall apart." The humans had studied alien military doctrine for 50 years. They knew exactly how each species organized their fleets, how they communicated, and how they made tactical decisions. Every weakness had been cataloged and prepared for. Admiral Kang Soo-jin struck from the opposite direction, her ships employing weapons that the aliens had never encountered. Gravity bombs created localized black holes that consumed everything nearby. Quantum disruptors broke down matter at the subatomic level. Phase weapons struck targets that existed in different dimensions. "This is not warfare," reported one terrified alien captain. "This is extermination. They have weapons that shouldn't exist." The alien formation began to collapse as human forces struck from every direction. The careful defensive sphere that Zexmon had tried to create was shattered by attacks that came from above, below, and through dimensions the aliens didn't even know existed. Dr. Moon Ja-young prepared to demonstrate the Starkiller weapon at close range for the first time. Her target was not a distant star, but the alien fleet itself. The device could create controlled stellar collapse in any concentration of matter dense enough to sustain the reaction. "Earth Command, this is Dr. Moon," she reported. "Initiating localized stellar collapse in the enemy fleet concentration. Recommend all friendly forces maintain minimum safe distance." The weapon activated at the center of the alien formation, creating a miniature star that burned for exactly 17 seconds before collapsing into a black hole. Thousands of alien ships were consumed instantly, their matter feeding the artificial singularity before it evaporated in a burst of Hawking radiation. Zexmon's flagship was caught on the edge of the effect, its hull buckling under gravitational forces that tried to compress it into a single point. He watched in absolute terror as space-time itself became a weapon against his forces. "We cannot fight this," he transmitted to the surviving alien commanders. "They have made themselves gods of war. We must surrender while we still can." But the human response was swift and merciless. Admiral Song's voice echoed across all frequencies. "There will be no negotiation. No conditional surrender. You brought war to our home. Now face the consequences." The Sol defense grid activated its final protocol. Every asteroid in the belt, every hidden platform, every weapon system that had waited in darkness for 50 years opened fire simultaneously. The space around Earth became a storm of destruction that made the previous battle look like a minor skirmish. Captain Lim Yu-jin watched from his hidden platform as the alien fleet died around him. "Defensive platform Omega to all stations," he reported. "Enemy formation is collapsing. Recommend continued fire until complete destruction is achieved." The aliens tried desperately to escape the solar system, but human forces had positioned themselves to prevent any retreat. Every exit vector was covered by ships armed with weapons that defied understanding. The trap was perfect and complete. Fleet Commander O.J. Sung led the final assault, his ships moving through the dying alien formation like angels of death. "All units, commence close-range engagement. Finish them." The Battle of Sol had become the largest military engagement in galactic history, and it was ending exactly as the humans had planned. The alien armada that had threatened to destroy Earth was being systematically annihilated by defenses that had been prepared for this exact scenario. Ambassador Quinara watched the slaughter from her observation ship at the edge of the system. She transmitted one final message to the Galactic Emergency Council. "The combined fleet is destroyed. Repeat, the largest armada in galactic history has been completely eliminated. Human casualties appear to be 0. As the last alien ships died in the fires of human weapons, Admiral Song allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The galaxy had demanded to see humanity without restraints. They had brought war to Earth itself, the one place humans would defend with everything they possessed. "Signal all forces," she ordered. "Battle of Sol is concluded. Estimated alien casualties: 847,000 ships destroyed, 17,000 disabled. Human losses minimal." The numbers told the story of the most one-sided battle in galactic history. The aliens had brought their greatest strength against humanity's home, only to discover that Earth was not a target to be conquered. It was a fortress that had been waiting 50 years for someone to be foolish enough to attack it. The war was effectively over. No alien government possessed the military strength to continue fighting. The combined fleets of 12 species had been destroyed in a single engagement, demonstrating once and for all the true scope of human technological superiority. But the victory came with a price. The galaxy had seen what humans were capable of when pushed to their absolute limits. They had witnessed weapons that could destroy stars and technologies that bent reality itself to human will. As the debris from the alien fleet slowly dispersed through the solar system, one truth became clear to all observers. Humanity had not just won the war. They had established themselves as the dominant power in the galaxy. The question now was what they would do with that power. 3 weeks after the Battle of Seoul, President Ko-hyun stood in what had once been the Great Hall of the Galactic Council on Nexus Prime. The floating platforms where alien representatives had once mocked humanity now held human officials and military commanders. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely. "The war is over," President Ko announced to the assembled alien leaders who sat in simple chairs on the main floor. "Your combined fleets are destroyed. Your military capabilities are eliminated. The age of alien dominance has ended." The surviving alien representatives looked broken and defeated. War Chief Zexmon bore visible scars from his escape from the AE Sol system. Empress Talvera's crystalline form had lost its shine, appearing dull and lifeless. Only Ambassador Quinara maintained her dignity, having wisely kept her people neutral throughout the conflict. Secretary General An Ji-hoon stepped forward to outline humanity's terms. His voice was calm and professional, but the words he spoke would reshape galactic civilization forever. "Effective immediately, all alien military forces will be disbanded," he began. "All weapons of mass destruction will be surrendered to human authority. All imperial governments are dissolved. The galaxy will be reorganized under the Terran authority." Veltar writhed nervously in his chair. "President Ko, surely we can negotiate some form of autonomy for our peoples. We surrender unconditionally, but complete disarmament is non-negotiable," Ko replied firmly. "You had 50 years to choose coexistence. You chose war instead. Now you live with the consequences of that choice." Director Park Ye-jin of the Reconstruction Authority explained how the new order would function. "Each species will retain control over their internal affairs and cultural practices. But all interstellar military forces, all weapons capable of planetary destruction, and all aggressive technologies will be transferred to human oversight." The aliens realized with growing despair that humanity intended to rule the galaxy not as conquerors, but as guardians. They would be allowed to govern themselves, but never again would they pose a threat to others. Admiral Jun-Woo Sung oversaw the systematic disarmament of alien forces across the galaxy. It was a massive undertaking that required careful coordination. Human fleets visited every alien world, collecting weapons and dismantling military installations with ruthless efficiency. "Admiral," reported Captain Kim Hyojin from the former hegemony capital, "we have completed disarmament of this sector. All military vessels have been impounded. All weapon production facilities have been shut down." "Excellent," Jun replied. "Deploy the monitoring satellites and establish a permanent garrison. These people will need time to adjust to their new circumstances." But humanity's rule was not purely oppressive. Dr. Han Sol began sharing human medical technology that revolutionized alien healthcare. Diseases that had plagued species for millennia were cured within months. Life expectancy increased dramatically across all worlds. "This is remarkable," admitted Dr. Velkiran, the former hegemony chief scientist. "Your medical technology is centuries ahead of ours. Why are you sharing it with defeated enemies?" Dr. Han smiled sadly. "Because we never wanted to be your enemies. We wanted to be your partners. You forced us to become your conquerors instead." Environmental restoration projects began on worlds damaged by industrial pollution or war. Human technology could repair atmospheric damage in years instead of centuries. Dead worlds were brought back to life with techniques that seemed like magic to alien observers. On the former Korthak homeworld, Engineer Park Min-soo directed the construction of new cities designed with human principles of efficiency and beauty. The harsh military architecture was replaced with structures that celebrated life rather than glorifying war. "Why help us rebuild?" asked former War Chief Golmak, now serving as a liaison between his people and the human administration. "We tried to destroy you." "Because this is who we are," Park replied simply. "We could have exterminated your species. Instead, we choose to help you become something better." Educational systems were revolutionized as human teachers shared knowledge that advanced alien understanding by centuries. Children who had been taught to fear and hate other species learned about cooperation and mutual respect instead. Dr. Yu Jung-min established the first integrated school on the former syndicate capital, where young aliens learned alongside human children. "Education is the foundation of lasting peace," she explained to skeptical parents. "Your children will grow up knowing cooperation, not conflict." The changes went beyond technology and education. Human legal systems, based on individual rights and democratic principles, were gradually introduced to replace the authoritarian structures that had dominated alien societies for millennia. Judge Lee Sang-ho presided over the transition court on Nexus Prime, helping alien leaders understand concepts like due process and constitutional limits on government power. "Justice cannot exist without freedom," he explained, "and freedom cannot exist without justice." But not all changes were welcomed. Many aliens struggled to accept their new status as protected species rather than galactic powers. Some attempted rebellion, only to discover that human surveillance networks detected every conspiracy before it could develop. Commander Cho In-suk dealt with one such uprising on a former hegemony world. "Your rebellion is over before it began," she told the captured conspirators. "We know about your plans because we monitor all communications, but we will not execute you for trying to regain your independence." Instead, the rebels were enrolled in re-education programs that helped them understand why their old ways had led to war. Many emerged as advocates for the new system, having seen the benefits of human governance firsthand. President Ko established the Galactic Development Council, which included representatives from every species. For the first time in galactic history, all civilizations had an equal voice in interstellar affairs. "This council exists to serve all peoples of the galaxy," Ko explained at its first session. "Humans will provide security and technological advancement. You will provide wisdom, culture, and perspectives we cannot achieve alone." Ambassador Quinn Ara served as the Council's first vice president, helping to bridge the gap between human and alien perspectives. "They could have ruled us as tyrants," she told her fellow representatives. "Instead, they have chosen to elevate us as partners." The economic systems of the galaxy were transformed as human technology eliminated scarcity for most resources. Fusion reactors provided unlimited energy. Automated manufacturing created abundance where there had been want. Transportation networks allowed instant travel between star systems. Economic Minister Kim Do-young oversaw the transition to post-scarcity economics. When basic needs are met for everyone, societies can focus on growth, creativity, and exploration rather than competition for limited resources. Within 5 years, living standards across the galaxy had risen to levels that previous generations could never have imagined. Poverty was eliminated. Disease was conquered. War became impossible because no species possessed the military capability to threaten others. But perhaps the most profound change was cultural. Art, music, literature, and philosophy flourished as species that had spent millennia fighting began to explore what they could create together. Human creativity merged with alien perspectives to produce works of beauty that neither could have achieved alone. Artist Bae So Min collaborated with former enemies to create monuments celebrating peace rather than war. Art is the universal language, she said at the dedication of the memorial to war victims on Nexus Prime. It helps us remember our past while building a better future. 10 years after the war's end, President Ko stood again in the Great Hall of Nexus Prime, now renamed the Hall of Galactic Unity. Representatives from dozens of species worked together on problems that affected all civilizations. "We warned you we were restraining ourselves," he said to the assembled delegates. "You chose to see what humanity looked like without restraints. This is the galaxy you chose to create." The transformation was complete. Where there had been competing empires locked in eternal conflict, there was now a unified galactic civilization dedicated to peaceful progress. Species that had been enemies for millennia were now partners in exploration and discovery. Ambassador Quinara, now elderly but still serving as a bridge between human and alien perspectives, offered her final assessment of humanity's rule. "They broke our chains by becoming them," she said in her memoirs. "They freed us from our own nature by showing us what we could become. The galaxy had demanded war without mercy. Humanity had delivered that war, then chosen to build something better from the ashes. They had proven that true strength lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when destruction was necessary and when mercy was stronger. The sleeping giants had awakened, reshaped the galaxy according to their will, and then chosen to use that power to lift others up, rather than keep them down. It was perhaps the most human thing they could have done. In the end, the aliens had gotten exactly